Arkansas. Today's video is about growing tomatoes in the winter and how I do it. Before we get to that though, I want to talk to you about a couple things. The first thing is the Spider Farmer SF-1000 LED light giveaway is sitting right up here. It's mounted right up here behind me. If you're interested in getting into that free giveaway, go to the video. I have a link to it below. Enter your name and follow the rules at the end of the video. Make sure you follow those rules for entry and go ahead and put your name down to get a potential to win a free light, $150 value. The second thing I want to talk about is food grade screens. These screens are now available through me if you want to email me and you're interested. So my email will be in the description below. This is food grade screen. I've got them in two sizes. They're FDA approved for food and beverage. So if you're following along and you're interested in growing like I do, this is where you get them. Just email me. Now let's get to the video. I created a video on how I made this aerated water culture bed. Some people refer to this as deep water culture. It's where the plants are suspended above a nutrient solution and oxygen is provided for the plant's roots. If you want to see how I made this water culture bed, there's a video in it and I'll put a link below. So I start off by taking tomato seedlings and I rinse the roots off and I put them directly in here. Now, I just did it with this plant about 3 days ago, I believe. You can see there's already new roots forming. The older little paler roots, that was from when they were in grow medium potting mix. I rinsed them off and then I put it through this cup, put it directly in here. I'm tapping it just to make sure the roots get down into the water below. Now they're going to spend their whole lives in there. Now if you look outside, you can see that the sun will come in through these acrylic panels. I'm not sure. I think they're polycarbonate panels actually. The sun is the primary feed for the lighting that's needed for the plants to grow, the photosynthesis. But I also have additional lighting like this Mars Hydro light, which I really do like. I've also got a couple high bay lights here and the Spider Farmer SF-1000 I just mentioned. Another high bay down there. Now the additional lighting supplements the wintertime sun, and that's not quite enough, the sun. Well, sometimes it is when it comes in really bright and it really heats up this room quite a bit. But anyway, the supplemental lighting is especially there for those days where it's very dim outside. In the water culture beds, there is a solution of water-soluble fertilizer, sometimes known as hydroponic fertilizer, and the kind I use is Master Blend. It's supplemented according to the Master Blend package with Epsom salt that you can get from Walmart or any other pharmacy, and calcium nitrate. Those three mixed together form the nutrient solution that provides all the nutrients and everything the plant needs to grow big. And it does it very, very well. You can see over here that there's some baby plants, and then there's 4 mature ones here. A couple months ago, all these here, including these 4, were that size. And I mean, this whole bed was filled with these little tomato plants, and they grow really fast. Since I'm a breeder, I select and cut out various plants that don't meet my what I'm looking for the next generation, and I've done that. I've saved 4 that I'm about to show you. These are the 4 right here, and then I replanted with other varieties. These 4 are the next, hopefully one of them will be the next generation of what I call Donovan's Red, and it's a extra large, I would say more of a salad tomato, or a really large cherry tomato, if you will. But I'll show you the fruit as they mature. Right now, here's kind of an example of what they look like. they get a little bigger than that. But so Donovan's Red is the 4 that I'm going to talk to you about today. I've also started several over here of Katie Ann. Katie Ann is a Roma tomato I'm trying to develop, and Pink Crush down here is a slicer size tomato I'm trying to develop. There are several characteristics that I'm looking for in breeding, and one of them, we'll just go up to the Donovan's Red now, is truss size and amount of fruit. What I'm looking for is a semi-determinate, some may call it a semi-indeterminate, and that means that it grows, it'll constantly grow, but it will grow slower than a full indeterminate. That's what I want. I want it to continue to grow all season long, but grow slower. I also want it to put a lot of focus into flower and tomato set. And that's why I bred these tomatoes to my cherry tomato, which is a multi-flora. It has tons of flowers. And these 4 examples show very similar characteristics to my cherry tomato, only much larger fruit. So I want you to take a look at this particular truss right here. Let me see if I can get in here, and it kind of gets kind of odd. Okay, see my finger here? This truss comes up, and it involves where my hand is here, coming up over to here, and all of this down here. There are literally over 100 flowers on this one truss. Now I'm not going to get 100 fruit off of that, but I surely am going to get 20 to 30 at least good sized salad tomatoes. That's what I'm hoping for. I'll bring you back and I'll share. I've got some babies coming on here. Let's see here, the screen is kind of hard to see with the sun glare on it, but I've got some babies coming on this one and the other one's over here, and this does it with every truss. Here's another one here. You look here, follow my finger here, you can see it branches off here and goes up over here. There's a baby tomato, it comes out here, and it's just a huge truss. Now up here is another one, and then another one, and another one. So and here's a little bit of a difference here between about every 2 leaf stems. You'll see here you got a truss here, or a truss. This is a flowering stem, if you will, called a truss. You got one leaf. Let's see if I can get my finger out of the way. 1 here, 2, and then the next truss of flowers, which will be tomatoes. Then you got 1, 2, well this one's 3. But a lot of the times you only get 2 leaf branches between a flower truss. An indeterminate will almost always have 3 leaf trusses between flowers. So that's the trait I'm looking for. I want it to be not determinate, which sets all of its fruit pretty much at the same time and starts to die back. I want it to continue to grow all season long and pump out tomatoes like it's a monster. In fact, I'm considering renaming this to the Beast. It's just a funny thing in my head. I'm not really going to do that, but it is a beast. The other tomatoes over here are doing similarly. You can see back there's a big truss. It's hugging the polycarbonate back there. It's a little harder to see and get into. But then we get another truss up here. An even better example, here's a truss here with many on it, and you can see behind it, oh, this is the same truss here, both of these. And over here, here's another example, and there's a kind of a fruit, an immature fruit that gives you an idea how it's going to be. And we got lots of flowers on here, up here and here. So this is a breeding of mine that I'm very, very excited to share with you. Now you may be thinking, okay, it's for you experienced people, you may be thinking, okay, it's something environmental, it's just the nutrients and the way you put it out, and it's just creating tons of flowers. I'm going to show you an example why I think that's not the case, besides the fact that I grew these out in the garden last year outside, not in area waterculture, and it behaved similarly. But this tomato is genetically bred to be this way. And of course, I'm just an individual. It's not GMO, it's nothing freaky, it's just selection of plant types and behaviors that I like. So let me bring you over here to one I got from Annapolis Seeds. It's called Gardener's Delight. And this is Gardener's Delight. It is a large cherry tomato. You can see the size of it by my hand. These should start turning red in the next couple of weeks. Or next week or so, actually. Here's the next truss. You can see that how many fruit set are on there. The one behind it is Gardener's Sweetheart, and that is a hybrid of, or not a hybrid, but the Gardener's Delight was a parent. I also got it from Annapolis Seeds, and that's the plant next to it right here. But continuing on with Gardener's Delight here, you come up and you see another truss here with about, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on it. And you go up here, you see another one on there, 10 to 12. And this is very typical for the plant. It's also the tallest in the winter grow room here. It grows 10 to 12. Sometimes it'll split a truss and it'll put out that many tomatoes. And that is an indication that I know it's not something that I'm doing. It's the genetics of the plant. Donovan's red, because Gardener's Delight is doing what it's supposed to, and it's growing the exact same environment. This is my cherry tomato that I crossed to make Donovan's red, and a couple others like the one next to it I'll talk about another time. That's called Dawn. That's a dark tomato. I want to just see how dark it is before I talk about that and how favorable it is for what I'm looking for. But this is my cherry. A lot of times the first truss comes out and it'll be a longer truss, a longer single truss. As they mature, you can come up here to this truss, you can see it's a big truss. Now a lot of times, this is just one example, a lot of times there's a heck of a lot more fruit and flowering on them than just this one. So this is the main reason why I bred all my tomatoes to this one. Breeding to a cherry creates small fruit. Even when you cross it with a huge beefsteak tomato, it's going to present with a smaller or a large cherry size, about double what this size is right here, double the size of a cherry, no matter how big it is. But in the second generation, you can select for larger fruit, like you can see here. That one's going to be larger. It's going to be closer to this size down here. But over time, in the following generations, you select for the largest fruit. Well, I'm trying to, because I'm trying to get a slicer size that has all these flowers. And the waterculture will grow just about anything except for maybe like root crops. So I'm probably going to do waterculture when I do my new greenhouse this spring. Here are examples of pepper. I cut this one back just like I cut this one back to make it branch out. This is my California Brian pepper. It's got a little pepper on it. I'm going to do a separate video on pepper. Here's another pepper. And I've got some eggplant back over here. We even got one that's setting a fruit here. Let's see here, yeah. See if you can see it right back here. There we go. One there. There's a flower over there that I've pollinated, so I'm going to have eggplant soon. I've got broccoli going, and I'm not growing a diverse amount because my primarily a diverse amount of plants or plant types or different types of vegetables, because my primary focus is tomatoes for this winter grow. So I want to develop my tomato lines so I get another generation before the spring begins. And as you can see down there, I've got new little starts. I've got about 90 days before I get these out. I'm going to try to get some more seed from these 2 new starts. That's pretty much it for this particular video. There's not a whole lot to it other than how things are progressing and how I'm growing tomatoes in the winter. The temperature within the winter greenhouse has to be, I'll go ahead and talk about that. The temperature has to remain fairly constant. I have everything on timers and thermostats, so it never gets below, too much below 55 degrees at night. And I have an exhaust fan that I have turned off right now, and it's getting warm in here actually with all the sun, but that exhaust fan keeps it from getting too hot on days like today. Even though it's quite chilly outside, I would say it's in the upper 50s, lower 60s, but everything in here is quite warm actually. Yeah, with the fan turned off here. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, it's 93 degrees out in here now with a relative humidity of 45. I've got 2 of these just to kind of keep it consistent. So I need to get the exhaust fan back on, and that'll go down to, oh, probably mid to low 80s. There's my exhaust fan. It's set on this thermostat here, and I can set it to come on at various temperatures and stuff like that. There's the temperature probe that reads the air temperature here, and that'll suck air from, let me show you, through that vent there, which is on the other end of the room. Pulling it in here. It comes up to this fan, which blows it around, and that's what keeps the temperature from getting too high. I also have one set for the heater. That keeps it from getting too cold. Now, I have a basic ceramic heater here that blows out hot air on low level here because I want to keep the electricity usage down low, and I don't want to pop any breakers. If I pop a breaker, everything could freeze and ruin everything. But I also have redundant heating. This is a radiator heater that I bought a long time ago, and golly, it's 20-25 years old. Anyway, it works very well. You can set a thermostat here, and it's oil. It's an oil heater, so it heats up the oil and it radiates the heat. It's a non-moving heating source, if you will. And when the power cuts off, though, the problem with this one is when the power cuts off, then this blanks out. So if I lose power, this one is no more effective. That's why I have the ceramic heater on a timer over there. I'm going to replace this eventually. I just don't want to spend the money with the kind that's on a thermostat that'll stay on, but another radiator style heater. So that's how I'm able to grow tomatoes in the wintertime. I will be getting some fruit off of these to eat. I'm looking forward to that. Tasting these and selecting from taste from these as well. So we do get some benefit of growing tomatoes in the winter besides just being a hobby that's incredibly fun to me. We do get to sample some of them, and I get a head start on the next season developing these lines to where I get them open pollinated, which means that they'll be consistent year after year. So if I can get one that'll be a beast like this, that'll grow year after year the same way, just like I've done with my cherry, that's my goal. This is Brent, you guys. We'll see you later.